Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Marte, I come from Norway and I love makeup. And today I'm doing episode 2 of Scents and Shadows, where makeup meets fragrance. And this is a series where I basically just take a perfume and I take the inspiration of that perfume, both the bottle and the notes, and I create an eyeshadow palette based on those notes. And today I created this fun color story based on the Kayali Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar 42, which looks like this. I also did this makeup look, which I will show you, but first let's break down the notes of the perfume and let me talk a little bit about the single shadows that I chose for the palette. So this fragrance is relatively new on the market and I got the big bottle as a blind buy and I really do like it. It has a lot of bubblegum to it, which I will talk about later, but it's a very sweet and delicious scent, and Fragrantica calls it a floral fruity gourmand, and I do agree with that. However, I have heard some mixed opinions about the perfume because some people really don't smell the delicious scent that I smell, and I think it might be the patchouli, but for me this is a very delicious scent. It's not juvenile, it's a very mature but sweet, delicious scent. And because of that complexity in the scent, I was thinking that this is not just a super girly scent, and I was actually reminded by this Colourpop Troublemaker palette. I think that this would be a palette that fit the perfume quite well. It looks like this on the inside. It's kind of like a punk but pink palette, which is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from the perfume, but I decided to have a little bit more of a fun interpretation of the fragrance. But before I show you the palette more close up, let's talk about the notes and have a look at the beautiful bottle. Here is the perfume bottle. I think it is a beautiful bottle, probably the prettiest one that Kayali has. And I don't know if you can see it, but it does have some sort of green on the inside, and from the side you can see it looks more peachy orange, which I think is very interesting. And it also has this beautiful purple, nearly blue shift. And when it comes to the notes of the perfume, the top notes are vanilla, pear, marshmallow, rum, violet leaves, and ylang ylang. Then it has middle notes of bubblegum, jelly bean, caramel, jasmine, and labdanum, whereas the base notes are sugar, patchouli, tonka, cashmere wood, vetiver, and sandalwood. So it's a lot of different notes in here, which makes the perfume quite complex in my opinion. And now that you have heard the notes, I really want to get into the palette that I made and what kind of shades I put in it. So here we have the palette a little bit more close up. You can see it's a very fun, almost pastel color story, but it's also a little bit of a grunge to it, which I think fits the perfume very well because I find it's a very fun, very sweet perfume, but it does have something, and I think it's mostly the patchouli and some of the woody notes that make it a bit more complex and a bit more mature. So I felt like I wanted to capture that with the colors that I chose. So I think it's obvious that the pinks come from the bubblegum note, and then we have this very fun, more confetti looking holographic shade from Glam shop, and that is supposed to be the jelly beans, because what better shade than a holographic shade to represent jelly beans. And the warmer tones here, for some of you, they might look a little bit out of place, but the perfume has caramel and it has rum in it, which made these fit the color story quite well in my opinion, and it also just offers a different kind of approach to the looks you can make with this palette. And I love, for example, pairing the mustardy tone with the lighter green, or if you pair it with a more grayish tone down here, which by the way presents the cashmere wood. And then you have the sweet notes of tonka, which I feel like these deeper shades in the end here represent. The more yellowy tones in the base of this one and a little bit here is for me the ylang ylang that is in the perfume. And I do have this Orchard shade from Clionadh, which has a very green base, but you can see it shifts a lot. And the green for me is the patchouli, definitely. And then you have all of the other colors that just go well with the bubble gum, the violet leaves, which also are represented a little bit in the purple sparkles of these other shades. And then we have the pear that I wanted to have this light pastel green to match with. And as for all of the notes that kind of don't necessarily have too much color, like sugar and marshmallow, I just feel like all the sparkles and the different shine, for example, in this shade and this shade, I feel like those match pretty well to those notes. And either way, it's like pastel, sweet, cute colors. So I feel like those fit quite nicely with those notes. So that's kind of my thoughts behind it, and now I really want to swatch the palette for you, but I will just make sure to label the swatches. Here is the whole color story swatched out, and it kind of reminds me now of the Mekka Beauty Shop Simplicity palette, but I think it's mostly just because it's a mix of some neutrals with those pastel pink and green shades, but that is a beautiful palette. And I really like this one. The shimmers are just so stunning. You can see that first multi-chrome from Glam Shop. It's basically the perfume bottle just as an iridescent shade. And while I'm talking about the perfume bottle, I think that this shade too, Big Bang from Looxi, is also very similar because it has that pink to nearly blue and purple shift, and it does have that kind of mustardy brown kind of base that you can like see in the bottle. And yeah, then we have these more pastel ones for the pear, the bubblegum, patchouli with the deeper green. We have more bubblegum with this pink. Oh, and then we have this super deep violet shade that is for like the violet leaves, and also for the tonka beans they have some sort of deep color too. And then the caramel and rum, or the ylang ylang as well, has a slightly yellow color. There's a lot of notes that you can like see in these colors. For example, the jelly beans in this holographic shade. It is so much more intense in real life, so I hope that you can see the colored sparkles. And we have the last one here, which is more of a charcoal color, and I think that matches both the tonka bean note and also the labdanum note, because that has like, that's a dark deep resin kind of. So yeah, that is the whole color story. I love the shifts in these shadows, they're just so spectacular, and I love the sparkles so much, and there's so many things you can do with these colors. So I would love to hear what you think of the color story and these shadows that I picked out. Is it anything you would have changed? Just leave me a comment down below. And now I'm going to do a look with this color story. Now for the look that I'm going to make with this palette, I don't necessarily have a plan. Clearly you have seen what I did already in my intro, but I'm just gonna start out with this deepest shade, and I know I want to use this one from Looxi. It's called Big Bang because I just think it's so pretty and it has so many beautiful sparkles, and I want to do just a lot of fun stuff, so maybe I will add a little bit of the holographic on top. We'll just see, and I'll probably use this pink too because I just think it fits the perfume so well. But I'm gonna take my 022 brush from Glam Shop and just start layering this in the outer V. I did already prime my eye with the Smashbox eye primer, and I used a little bit of my Glam Shop, what is it called again? It's just in Polish, I think. This one, it's like a corrector concealer or something. It just gives a very light coverage and corrects a little bit the discoloration that I have on my under eyes. But yeah, I'm just applying this shade from Glaminatrix called Curls all over here. I want to feather it out a little bit here at the very edge, and I'm just blending a bit at the edges to make sure that whatever shade I apply afterwards will like transition quite nicely. But this is blending out incredibly good for being such a deep shade, and I feel like just applying it to the very edge of the lower lash line here as well. Now I'm just gonna go in with this pink shade with my GB13 brush from Glam Shop. This one is from Terra, so it's a little bit powdery, but I do love their formula because it's so opaque. And I haven't decided what to do for the inner parts of my eyes, so I'm just gonna use this one as a transition shade for the outer parts, and maybe I'll just go in with some of those mustardy yellow shades because Big Bang does have that kind of a base to it, and I think that this more deep purple looks really good with a yellow because it's just a contrasting color. So this is just bringing out a lot of that bubblegum kind of color from the perfume, which I love. I'm just applying it a bit here underneath the lower lash line too, just basically everywhere where I applied the deeper purple. I mean, it's looking very cool. It's very bold, I got to say, but I like it. So I decided to use this mustard tone, and I'm using my R102 brush from What's Up Beauty. And I'm probably just gonna apply this all over the inner parts of the lid. I mean, it's quite dark, so I'll try to just blend it upwards instead of having full opacity and intensity all the way upwards. And I'll always use a skin toned color to blend out from the brow and downwards anyway, so that will just help lighten it up a little bit, I guess. But the Dandelion's shadows are very nice and blendable, as you can see, so it's not really an issue. But I'm just making sure I apply it all over the crease where I do want it the most intense. And I'm just slightly buffing it into the rest here. It's giving kind of like sunset vibes, but I feel like that's gonna get quite different once I apply the shimmers, because that pink shimmer is like very pink with blue sparkles. So that will be interesting. Now I'm quite ready for shimmer, so I will be applying some glitter glue, which I will use my Pixie Epoxy from Fairy. But my plan is to at least use this one for the outer part, and this one, which is, I should hold it the right way. So this one I will use for the inner part, this one for the outer part, and then maybe I'll add a little bit of this deep charcoal gray sparkly shade in the outer part as well to just add some depth. And I'll see if I'll tap a little bit of this holographic all over, and maybe I will use this multichrome from Glam Shop as my inner corner shade. And for the lower lash line, I don't know yet, so let's just get started with these main shades. I'm just applying the pink shimmer with my Stasi Alex WG4 brush. I'm not sure how much of the pink I want. At least this much, but I think that might be enough. I just want that pop of pink because it fits the perfume so well. And then I'm just gonna take the other side of this brush, and I'm gonna take that other shade that I talked about, Big Bang. And it does have that kind of warm orangey yellow base, which, yeah, it's going very well with the matte that I layered there. And I'm just gonna blend them a little bit together and also just buff it out a little bit up into the crease, just because I like the look of that. And they're looking very beautiful, so now I'm just mixing them a bit together. I hope you saw that and I wasn't out of frame. But yeah, that is looking really nice. And I think I will use a tiny bit on my little finger of that charcoal color. I'll just apply it quite carefully in the very outer part of the lid right here. And then I'm gonna go in with the brush again, just to make sure that they're like blended well together. So that's how it is looking now. I really like the look of it, but I'm very tempted to just use a little bit of that holographic shade. So I'm just taking the tiniest bit on my finger, and I'll just go like dab it all over very gently, just to have a little bit of that holographic glitter all over the lid. I think that would be really nice. I hope you can see it. Yeah, I think you can see it a little bit. That's perfect. I just think it's a lot more fun with a little bit of extra color. So yeah, I'll just finish off the other eye and see what I'll do for the lower lash line. Now I do just want a pop of this green shade for the lower lash line, so to be able to blend it out a bit, I'm gonna go in with this light pastel green for the inner part of the lower lash line first. So I'm just taking my GB13 brush again and I'm just applying that here. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of that Orchard shade at the very inner part, like close to the waterline. Now this pastel green is very light, so I'll just try to apply a little bit of Orchard. I don't have any glitter glue, so you can see it's kind of floating a little bit away. But I think just a touch of it like this is very nice, because then you have that pink sparkle too that ties it together with the rest of the colors, which I really like. That was the close-up of this look, and I really like how it turned out. It's quite colorful. It's very summery, with like evenings kind of summer look, and I do think it goes with the perfume bottle and definitely the notes as I was talking about in the intro. So I'm very happy with the look and the palette, and I would love to hear your opinions both on the palette, the look that I created, and of course the perfume if you have tried it. But I do think that's the end of this video. I will as usual leave all of the makeup that I used down below in my description box, so you can check that out if there's anything you're wondering about. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!